Hi friends, Andrea here with one more video for you. In this opportunity, I'm going to be showing you how to make this ring bound notebook that I sent my sister a couple of weeks ago. And we are going to be using the Bloom Street collection for the covers, to decorate the pages. As you can see, it is very simple in terms of decoration. The plan is for her to use on a daily basis and be able to keep it and bring it in your purse if necessary. So I'm showing you right now the pattern papers that we'll be using. Those last two ones I do not use. Okay, here are 2 pieces of cardboard, the paper for the inside pages, and the ring that we're gonna be using for the binding. So for the inside pages, I took some dot paper from one of my Rhodia pads that I use for calligraphy practice normally. So I'm just cutting them in half, and my covers, or the size of my covers, are going to be based on these pages. So you'll see how we'll do that. Once I have this, all my pages are cut in half. It's going to be kind of a thick notebook. I'm using a 1-inch ring for this. So I take my cardboard, and the way I'm measuring this is I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch on 3 sides of the pages. So the top, the bottom, and the right side. So I'm going here. More than measuring this in terms of how many inches for the cover, I'm just leaving that additional 1/8 of an inch on the 3 sides based on my inside pages. I make sure that works before I go ahead and cut the second piece of cardboard, and I just do the same thing. Okay, we are done with that. It works. Now, to add the pattern paper to the cardboard, I've been using double-sided tape for years. There are some liquid glues that will work very well, and there as well as some bookbinding glue that could work with the paper. So it depends. It's whatever you want to use, whatever really works for you. I'm just letting you know that double-sided tape works. And I like to cover as much of the surface that I can to make sure that there are no bubbles or anything that I don't want on my paper. So I cut the pattern paper. It was really painful. I have to admit, it was really painful to cut this particular sheet of pattern paper, since I love the back side of it, this side. So then when I cut the paper, leaving about 1 inch on each one of the 4 sides, and because of the pattern that I have on the other side, it didn't really matter if the cardboard was straight or not. You gotta be careful with that. So now here we're just cutting the edges, the corners of the paper, leaving again 1/8 of an inch. This is going to allow us to cover all the cardboard, even on those corners, once we fold it. I'm using now a 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I'm putting 2 strips, and those are going to go on the edge of the paper and on the edge of the cardboard. Again, it's just a little bit of extra adhesive that we are adding. You do not have to do it that way. It's just what works for me. Now we start by folding the longer side. So the right and the left side go first, then we push those corners a little bit, and we close the top and bottom edges of the paper. Fold it. We do the same thing with the second cover. We make sure that we push there and we close it. Now here is when I come and I do an additional step. The reason why I do this is I'm using now laminating paper, or a sheet of transparent laminating paper. Why? I do it because the plan is for this notebook to be used on a daily basis. Again, if she wants to bring it back and forth, keep it in her purse, or put it in the car, bring it home, bring it back to the office, which I do with some of mine, I add this. And you just do the same thing you did with the pattern paper for the cover. You want to do it before you cover or before you put the pattern paper for the back cover to make sure that you just hide it the same way you do with your pattern paper. Once this is done, you just repeat the process. Again, this is me just wanting to make sure that the covers and the inside paper are gonna match and all that. So it is time now to cover the inside, and here once again depends on, it's a personal preference, how much space or how much of a border you want to leave from the paper that you'll see from your front cover. Okay, I go with both. I got lost there with my pencil marks. So, okay, then I go with both. Once again, I don't know what I did there. And I do like to add a little bit of a border. It's just because when you cut the paper, you get that white edge that I do not always like. If I'm going to machine stitched the border, I don't do this. I just skip this step, but normally I try to do it if I know there will be no stitching. I come again with my double-sided tape and I cover. Now I stick it and it just works perfectly. I'm just making sure there are no bubbles, no imperfections, if you want to call it like that. You also, with this one, you do have to be careful because of the birds. You want all of the birds to be facing one direction or not to be upside down. So this is the pattern paper I decided to go with to make the dividers. There will be 2 dividers on this notebook, and I'm just folding it in half on one of the sides to make a pocket on the back of it. And I'm just leaving little tab. The tabs you can make separately. I just wanted to skip that step and just make sure I use the same page for that. Okay, I'm checking way too many things. So I bring my cinch from We Are Memory Keepers. It's gonna be the binding tool I'm gonna be using. If you do not have one of this, but you still wanna make the notebook and you do have a Crop-A-Dile, you can do it. No problem, because the Crop-A-Dile can go through the cardboard with no problem. Now, the process is definitely gonna take longer because you will have to go one hole at a time and not that many pages at a time. If you are one of those thinking if the cinch binding tool it's worth it, it definitely is, especially if you want to make this kind of notebooks, not just for notebooks, but if you want to go ahead and make mini albums or recipe books or different projects that require this kind of binding, it is an amazing tool. So you do it with all the pages. There are instructions. There are specific steps that you need to follow to make sure that all the holes work well, that they're all at the same distance, and that the cover and the back cover the way that you need to cut it. So here I'm taking my 1-inch binding wire. Okay, and the way you do this, you start, the tool is there, so the rings hang from it on the right side, and then you start with your last page of the notebook. You forget about the covers for now, and you just start from the last page and you work all your way to the front page. Now you take your front cover, and the last piece you're adding is the back cover. Now you tell the machine that you're using a 1-inch binding ring, and then you just press down and close it. it is time now to start decorating. And here is another, you hit and miss. I found this American Craft gold alphas that I wanted to use, and because I do love gold, I think they looked perfect. That I was gonna go ahead with that, and I'll explain you a little bit later what happened. But I'm just using the ruler to make sure that all my letters are aligned, that everything is gonna look okay. And you can see I have my Bloom Street puffy phrases there. I go ahead with the hello, it is pink, and the pink on that page is not bright at all, so I thought it was a good idea to go with that. I take some enamel dots that gave me a hard time and that is mainly because of the plastic, the laminating sheet that I had there. Okay, so that was going to be the notebook. I used just one die cut and gold stickers for the 2020 divider because on that section she wanted some calendar pages. So when I started working on those, my cover was already decorated. And then when I closed the notebook, they were peeling. The gold effect was just gone. So I decided to go in a different direction and took different letters. And these are the pages now. So you can see there are monthly views pages. She wanted them at the end of the notebook. Don't ask me why, but that's how she wanted it. And those are the kind of pages that I used to do, or the monthly views that I used to have on my bullet journal. So this is it. It is as simple as that. I think as long as you have the binding machine, there are many possibilities using this same technique. So just let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if it's useful. If I miss anything, if there is anything you want to know, please leave it on the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can.